What's good, Liberators? Fingers here, and this is Dx2 Demon Review, and today we are talking about the OG influence streamer. A woman that proves that once you hit the wall, ladies, there's no need to stop the hustle, because this bitch been charming dudes with her bony ass well into the unlife. We're talking about the Fiend, Mother, Harlot, a demoness also known as the Whore of Babylon in the book of Revelation. She rides a great red beast with 10 horns, 7 heads, and holds a foul golden goblet. There is a detailed description of her in Revelation 17. What a thoughtful footnote, Sega. Thank you. It is said that the heads and the horns represent kings and describes her as the great city that rules over the kings of the earth, demonstrating the power of the P-U-S-S-Y. That's why every motherfucker in the world dress fly. This imagery has been interpreted as an allegory of the fallen Roman Empire. And let's check out this bad bony bitch and what she can do. Magic, luck, bam. Those are her money shots. You want to get in there with those. But early on, I was running her on a speedster ailment team, so I had 20 in agility. So depending on how you're running her, now her agility is terrible. So you're going to have, in this day and age, back when I was running her, people weren't getting like these 50, 60k speeds in PvP that are now very, very common. So this strategy in this day and age, this is why I had to give up on this team. But I was working that for a while. I will link a video of that down below. I believe I have one of those from way back when. But in this day and age, I like her with the magic and the luck, with a minor in vitality, because if she's running slow, she needs to survive in order to wreak devastation. She nulls physical, okay, drains electric, whatevs. Watch out for that wind weakness, resist a couple things, completely useless for PvP, and we're going to move on. For the transferable skill, mana gain, +2 to max MP. This is insanely useful, especially considering her unique skill, and it also makes divine brands quite viable on her, even though she drains MP. You know, she drains the life out of her simps to fuel her rage and her madness. This allows her to get the most bang for her buck, and does allow you to get those divine brands on, because it just non-stop Babylon goblets. And especially when you're in PvP and now there's only 2 enemies on the opposing team, 1 enemy left in the opposing team that you need to put down. She's not draining back as much as she could be at the start of a battle when there's 4 enemies out there. For her first unique skill, Death Lust, plus 25% damage to charmed enemies. Brutal. Activates the following chain effect on self at the beginning of her first turn. 30% chance to charm all enemies. So she comes in right away and sweeps you with a charm attack, which charm can be absolutely devastating, RNG willing. So that is fantastic. And this was the bane of many people's existence. And when she first came out, a lot of people were pissed off about Mother Harlot. Oh, pay to win bullshit. This is all game break. She bothered a lot of people, and she was one of the main reasons that every team came equipped with ward brands, full stop. There were no other brands you were allowed to have because of this one lady right here. And for her most brutal of attacks, the Babylon Goblet inflicts almighty magic damage on all enemies with a power of 100. Not bad. But drains 1 MP from each and every individual on your opponent's team, which in PvP, where the MP economy is at a premium, this is especially devastating. I've seen some great pairings of her with Undead Alice, where they are just sucking the life out of you, and there's very little you can do to stop such carnage. And if you level this thing up, plus 12% to damage dealt. Not bad at all. And the most crucial, MP cost, -1 of this skill at level 6. As usual, level 6 gives that -1 MP cost, which is really the reason you level up any skill you're going to be using in PvP, where the MP is so precious. I've got her in the Psychic archetype, which gives her Deadly Charm, though I believe she's got some other decent archetypes. I prefer this one because I love piling on. Plus 30% damage to charmed enemies. Deadly Charm. We pile that on with Death Lust. Plus 25% damage to charmed enemies. And yes, there is one more you can add to this mix in her panel, which just breaks it into the stratosphere. It's fantastic. But one thing to be aware of is Deadly Charm is a fairly common transferable. You find it on a bunch of I believe a few 4-star demons have them as one of their gacha skills. So if you've been playing the game for any length of time, you've probably got a few Deadly Charm transferables lying around. So that is one thing to consider, where you might not need her archetype in Psychic for Deadly Charm, as it is an easy transferable, but I like having those 2 transferable slots open, which I gave to Endure and Enduring Soul, because I was running her slow, I need her to survive, and I figured just make her as annoying as possible, because Death Lust, Deadly Charm, and her panel 3 give her those damage boosts to make Babylon Goblet especially brutal. Brands. I got it with the Life brands and the Guard brands, because the team I was running around with all Ron, I was planning on fighting a bunch of speedster physical teams, just because I wanted to be like, hey, what team would just completely shatter my defensive team, which is a speedster physical team? How would I break that into? And this is what I came up with. Well, I didn't come up with. I got bodied by a team who used that all Ron nonsense on me accidentally. Shrosha went off and killed the demon who they baited me on level 1. I didn't target. I targeted the right demon, but that level 1, the Shrosha went off, and it was just mayhem from there on out. So I got her with the Life brands and the Guard brands so she can survive. I figured Babylon Goblet, and plus the fact that she was running slow, so we were going turn 2, would give her enough MP. I didn't need Divine brands, Life brands, Guard brands, but I mean, you can give her Evasion brands, Shield brands if you're trying to bust up a speedy magic team. You know the deal. Do with her as you will. And for the panels, and she's got some beautiful panels. I love these. I mean, look at that face. That is just beautiful. I am just enamored. Look at that charming smile. And she's got panels to match. Panel 1 activates the following chain effect at the beginning. If the enemy attacks first, removes barrier from all enemies. Immediate barrier break if the enemy team gets the jump on you. Fantastic, which is the reason I switched her from speedy to slow. And it works fantastic. When you don't have to worry about that barrier break. And a lot of teams don't bother with ward brands these days, because they'll have a Daisujo or some other demon there whose sole job is to wipe the elements for the counterattack or what have you. This is just nice to have, because they're still out there. There are still ward brands out there in the wild, and if you're going to run ailments, you want to be able to strike everyone, no exception. So this just makes it possible. Don't even have to think about it. Fantastic. Panel 2. I love this one. Activates full chain effect after Babylon Goblet is activated. 30% chance to inflict charm on random enemies 3 to 4 times. So it's basically Babylon Goblet plus Sexy Dance, where it says charm, 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 charm. Yeah. And even at a 30% chance, this trigger, I don't have her with really any ailment infliction rate tertiaries on her. And if I saw one, I'd throw it on there, but it wasn't my priority. My priority was her magic attack and her light and her HP. It still pops off, and just, it's far more effective than one would think 30% should be, especially if you've only got 2 demons left on the enemy team. 1 demon left. There's only 1 demon left. He's getting hit. He's getting hit hard. And for the big Mamma Jamma, panel 3, plus 25% damage to charmed enemies, piling on with Babylon, Deathlust, and Deadly Charm. So what do we got here? 25% damage to charmed enemies with Deathlust. Deadly Charm, another 30%, bringing us to 55%, and then another 25% damage with panel 3, bringing you to plus 80% damage to charmed enemies. Good Lord. And the real money, the true crowning achievement of this influence streamer, minus 25% to enemy charm auto cure rate. The biggest problem with charm is that it is unreliable. It wears off very easily. Being the most deadly of ailments, it wears off real quick. To kind of compensate for that, this pretty much locks it down. I will link the PvP video I did using this particular strategy, and I don't think charm wore off once, assuming Mother Harlot was alive. Things got a little hinky at the end with some chain effects, but you'll see. I think that was the one time charm wore off, and that was when Mother Harlot was dead. So this locks this down. It makes charm orders of magnitude more reliable. It pretty much guarantees it. If that charm's stuck, it's over. That demon is yours for the rest of the fight, and it is wonderful to behold. And before I risk rambling on for far too long, let's check out her other archetypes, because I think she's got a couple good ones if memory serves. I believe she's a Drain Fizz Elementalist. Yes, she is. So I've seen her with roughly all these, except for the Origami Death Touch. Almighty magic damage on a single enemy while healing the caster. 40% of damage dealt. Thematically appropriate. Not only does she suck the MP out of you, she sucks the life out of you and your wallet too. So cool. You may be useful if there's one demon left in the enemy team, but if there's only one demon left in the enemy team, you've probably got the fight on lock anyway. So I got to take a hard pass on that. The Protector archetype. Debilitate again. Thematically appropriate. Reduces attack, defense, evasion, and accuracy of all enemies by 20% at the reduced cost of 7 MP. And Debilitate's actually got pretty nice levels. If you level it to 4, you get the -1 cost to the skill, which would, for her, since it's an archetype skill, 6 MP, plus 50% chance of 1 MP recovery using this skill, meaning that it may only cost you 5, which is, hey, not bad at all. I personally would prefer her Babylon gobleting into oblivion, but hey, this is an option. I have seen this in the wild, though you're depending on... These days, everything seems to come with skills auto. There's so many transferables that just automatically buff you, automatically debuff, that skills like this where they only do the one thing, even though it does a debuff for every stat, still seems like a waste to me. But hey, the game must go on. The Psychic archetype of Deadly Charm, which we discussed. And finally, the Elementalist archetype, Drain Physical. Many people run her with Drain Fizz. Hey, if you're doing a slow roll team, right? I've seen her run with Demiurge and Rama, reinforcing the drain. This helps neutralize some physical teams. You know, it doesn't let you do that sweep, a big physical sweep off rip. So hey, something to consider, especially when you can get a slower, pair her with other slower demons like Rama or Demiurge. Demiurge especially, I believe, is pretty slow. And that about wraps it up for this Whore of Babylon. I hope you check out her bony ass. Just do not donate to her OnlyFans. You will get nothing but disappointment from that. Don't get captured.